Hello everyone, my name is Katari Agansham and today's my presentation's topic is Robert Jordan as a typical Hemingway hero. This is my introduction. The table of content. In this presentation, I will discuss about uh, introduction of author, then the introduction of the novel For Whom the Bell Tolls, the character of Robert Jordan, Robert as a Hemingway hero, and conclusion. Introduction to author. Ernest Hemingway was an influential American writer who lived in 1899 to 1961. He was part of the group of writers called Generation, who were disillusioned with the values of their parents' generation after World War One. Hemingway's writing style was characterized by its simplicity and directness, and he is considered one of the most important writers of the 20th century. In 1954, he was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature for his contribution to literature. Hemingway wrote many famous books, including *The Sun Also Rises*, *Farewell to Arms*, and *The Old Man and the Sea*. The novel For Whom the Bell Tolls. For Whom the Bell Tolls was published in 1940. The story of the novel For the Whom the Bell Tolls is set during the Spanish Civil War and follows American volunteer named Robert Jordan, who is tasked with blowing up a bridge behind enemy line. The novel explores the themes such as sacrifice, love, and brutality of war. For Whom the Bell Toll has been considered as one of the Hemingway's greatest work and classic of 20th century literature. Character of Robert Jordan. Robert Jordan is a protagonist of Ernest Hemingway's For Whom the Bell Tolls, and he is an American dynamiter who volunteers to fight alongside Spanish guerrilla fighters during the Spanish War in late 1930s. Jordan is a complex and introspective character whose internal struggles with morality, courage, and love mirrors the larger themes of the novel. As a Hemingway hero, Jordan embodies the ideals of bravery, dignity, and stoicism in the face of a danger and death. For if Robert Jordan, this is the quote from Cooperman that he says about Robert Jordan. For if Robert Jordan does not oppose the mind of the greater humanity, it is merely because he conceives himself with a tragic success that greater humanity can be defined as Robert Jordan. The Hemingway hero. The Stoicism is an important trait of Hemingway hero. The Hemingway hero is often involved in a personal morality. He is man of conscience and is fully aware of his responsibility in his involvement with whatsoever he takes up. He knows the consequences and faces them stoically. He fights against all odds with remarkable determination, even though he is defeated in the end. So we can say that the Hemingway heroes often fight against the odds and are mostly brave. In this line, we can see this. It is from For Whom the Bell Tolls. The world is a fine place and worth fighting for, and I hate very much to leave it. This is quote from the character of Robert Jordan. Hemingway wrote about unease and instability, which he faced as personal psychology. His unease is that of an individual man fearful for his own masculinity. So we can say that the masculinity and its presentation is also found in Hemingway's heroes. Oppressed by the need particularly to prove himself, he dwells upon horrible things just to convince himself that he can take. His hero struggles in endless isolation and against heavy odds. The this we can also find in Robert Jordan, that we can see in this quote that dying was nothing and he had no picture of it nor fear of it in his mind, but living was a field of a grain blowing in the wind on the side of a hills. Here we can see this that the Hemingway heroes are always determined, and they believe in that they can take and uh, fight against heavy odds. Wounded man. This is also the characteristic, and it's mostly find in Hemingway heroes. That Hemingway heroes shows as a suffering from some wounds or scar. It is not just physical but psychologically as well. It is because Hemingway was obsessed with the problem of a learning to live with their scars. uh, we can see of these scars and wounds in example with other Hemingway's works, like Jack Barnes in The Sun Also Rises is also suffers from severe war wounds that has made him important. And in Farewell to Arms, the character of Henry is wounded in his legs during the war. His physical wound has emotional parallel also. In To Have and Have Not, the hero Harry Morgan is also physically wounded, and in is the sense that he has only one arm. Because economically wounded due to separation and society that allows no allowance. This is also the psychological wound of his. In For Whom the Bell Tolls, we can see that the protagonist is also the wounded man. He suffers from emotional scars left by his father's death, who committed suicide and thereby fell to into a life with courage. Along with this emotional wound that he carries, he later suffers physical wounds when he attempts to solve this. He joined the liberal in Spanish Civil War. He there is severely wounded in his legs, and because of it lies down to cover the escape of other warriors. So those are the characteristic and the Hemingway heroes. And in this slide, I have some example of the similar quality of that type of characteristic, that in some movies we can find such a heroes following stoicism, who are wounded heroes. They follow their code of life, feel responsible for their action toward the world. The example of Spider-Man, the character of Peter Parker, have a psychological wound, as he consider himself as the responsible for the death of his uncle Ben, and he takes responsibility for his action as a Spider-Man, and he always remembers his uncle's saying that with great powers comes great responsibility. The other is James Bond character in the James Bond franchises. The character is he always have wants by the psychological wants of betrayal and other things, and he also suffers from wounds during fights, but still he fight for his nation. And then this character of Batman is also, we can say that he also is that type of hero who after his parents death, Bruce Wayne becomes Batman, and takes responsibility and feels responsibility toward his city, Gotham, and he tries to save peoples. The conclusion. So we can say that the Hemingway heroes are code heroes, that they others to their codes and live by it, and also live by it in the world of violence, misery, and disorder. And they can tackle problems of the world that he has been introduced to and live in with their success. If they tackle it, they live in success, and if not, they die trying. And the code hero is therefore exemplified in a certain principle like honor, courage, and endurance, and that we can find in Robert Jordan also. This is my work cited. Thank you. Now you can ask me questions.
So, Ghanshyam, my question is that how does Hemingway's typical hero differs from other literary heroes?
The Hemingway heroes often they believe in this that they have this code of they believe in honor and sacrifice, and they are willing to fight odds, and they can do anything for their belief of honor and sacrifice. Like we can see this in Robert Jordan also, that he takes up the job of blow up the bridge of enemy lines, and for that he also sacrifice himself also. So how that's how it differs.
Ghanshyam, can we say that Robert Jordan's experience in the Spanish Civil War shaped his identity as a typical Hemingway hero?
uh, Not mostly, because he takes up the job of Spanish Civil War. Before that, he also have suffered the psychological wound of his father's death, and he is a volunteer. He takes up task of fighting in a war. So he's basically he is experienced person, and then later in Spanish War, after he joined the Spanish Civil War, he is progress he progress in his characteristic, but he also have some of it before the Spanish War also.